right, picture this. The year is 2010. You're a VP of HR at a huge global company.
Okay.
And, by all accounts, you're successful. You're hitting your targets, you're climbing the ladder, navigating the politics, and then, one afternoon, you get stopped in the hallway by your boss.
Oh, the dreaded hallway ambush. Nothing
Yes!
good ever happens in a hallway ambush.
Never, exactly. And he doesn't stop her to talk about quarterly projections or a lawsuit or some hiring crisis.
Yeah.
No, he stops her to give her feedback on her walk.
Her walk, like physically how she moves down the hall.
Physically, he looks her dead in the eye and he says, "You need to tone it down." He tells her, and this is a quote, "It's too bouncy. It's too happy. People will think you're up to something."
That is. Wow. That's certainly vivid. It sounds like a skit from a sitcom. But for Claire Chandler, the author of the book We're Unpacking Today, Growth on Purpose, that was a real moment. That was the catalyst.
It's the hook that pulls you right in, because that boss, the guy policing the bounciness of a walk, he isn't just a jerk. He's a symbol. He represents this massive tension we see everywhere. The conflict between corporate conformity, fitting into the gray box, and actual authentic leadership.
It really sets the stage perfectly. Chandler's whole argument is that the tone-it-down boss is, well, he's a dinosaur. He's operating on a script that is completely obsolete.
Right.
And her central thesis is that if you stick to that script today, you aren't just going to annoy your staff. You're going to actively stall your business.
So that is our mission for this deep dive. We are unpacking Chandler's blueprint. How do you scale a business? How do you grow revenue without crushing the souls of the people doing the work?
Right.
Because usually, let's be honest, growth and soul feel like they are on opposite sides of the battlefield.
They often are. But Chandler argues they're actually interdependent. And to understand why, we have to zoom out for a second. We need to look at this macroeconomic shift she describes right at the beginning.
The shift.
She says we've moved from the industrial economy to the intellectual economy.
Okay, I hear terms like that thrown around a lot at conferences. Let's ground it. What is the actual practical difference for a manager?
Think about a car factory in, say, 1980. In the industrial economy, something like 95% of a company's value was tangible.
The machinery.
The stamping machines, the conveyor belts, the real estate, the inventory. If a worker quit, the machine was still there. You just plugged a new person in to pull the lever.
People were just parts of the machine, interchangeable?
Correct. But today, in the intellectual economy, that ratio has flipped. I mean, dramatically. Nearly 75% of business value is intangible.
Intangible, like?
Brand reputation, proprietary knowledge, software, and most critically, human capital.
So we've moved from valuing the hardware to valuing the software, the minds of the people.
Exactly. But here's the friction point Chandler identifies.
Yeah.
And this is where that bouncy walk story comes back in.
Ah.
While the economy has shifted to valuing the mind, most leadership manuals are still stuck on the machine. We're still using command and control structures designed for factories to manage creative, intellectual talent.
And when you treat a software engineer or a brand strategist like a factory worker who needs to just pull the lever,
they leave. You get what she calls the leaky bucket. You pour resources into hiring, you fill the bucket, but the culture has holes in the bottom, so talent just flows right back out.
Which brings us to the core framework of the book. Chandler proposes a fix, a way to plug those holes. She calls it the 4 Ps of culture.
Right. And I know whenever you hear the culture framework, there's a tendency to roll your eyes and expect fluffy buzzwords.
Totally.
But this is surprisingly structural.
Okay, walk us through the structure.
She breaks the business down into people, which is the who process, which is the how,
Right.
and performance, which is the what. But the magic happens in the center, where those 3 circles overlap. That center point is purpose.
Okay, I'm going to play the skeptic here. You're talking to a CFO or, a hard-nosed private equity investor. They hear purpose and they hear cost center.
Fluffy.
Yeah, fluffy. They think, I can't put good vibes on my P&L statement. How does Chandler bridge that gap between purpose and profit?
She attacks that skepticism head-on with data. Her whole argument is that because the economy is now intangible, you must measure the intangible. You can't manage what you don't measure.
Okay.
And she provides 4 specific metrics to prove if your culture is an asset or a liability.
All right, let's audit these. How do we measure the fluff?
The first one is the attraction rate.
Yeah.
And this isn't just time to fill a role.
No.
No, it's quality of applicant. If you put out a job posting, does it act like a magnet for top-tier talent? Or are you having to pay recruiters a fortune just to beg people to take an interview?
So is your brand doing the work or is your wallet doing the work?
Precisely.
Yeah.
If your traction rate is low, your culture is weak. The second metric is the retention rate.
Yeah.
And this is where the real money is lost. The sources highlight that replacing a key employee costs anywhere from 90% to 200% of their annual salary.
That number always blows my mind. 200%. So if you lose a senior leader making, say, 150 grand, that is a $300,000 hit to the business.
It is.
Where does that cost actually come from?
It's everywhere. It's recruiting fees, signing bonuses, the downtime while the role is empty. But it's also the hidden costs. You're losing institutional memory.
Client relationships?
Client relationships. It's like an NFL team losing their starting quarterback mid-season. The backup might be okay, but they don't know the playbook, and the team doesn't trust them yet. The whole operation just slows down.
Right, so retention is your defensive line. What's next?
Engagement rate. This goes beyond happiness. Chandler isn't asking if people are having fun or if there's cold brew on tap. She's asking if they are contributing. The data shows disengaged teams have 23% lower profitability.
23%.
It's massive.
Yeah.
If your people are physically present but mentally checked out, what we call presenteeism, you are bleeding money every single day.
They're in the seat, but the engine is off.
Exactly. And the fourth metric is my favorite because it's rarely tracked, but it tells you so much about the health of an organization. The internal hire rate, or IHR.
Break this one down.
It measures the percentage of open roles filled by your existing employees.
Why is that one so critical? I mean, isn't new blood a good thing?
New blood is good, but constant transplants are bad. Two big reasons here. First, external hires are statistically 18% more expensive and 21% more likely to quit within the first 2 years.
Wow.
It's like organ rejection. But second, a low IHR tells you that your people aren't growing. If you always have to hire from the outside to get a director or a VP, your managers know they have no future there.
It's a signal that the ladder is broken.
Correct. So if you want to fix these numbers, if you want to stop the leaks and boost that internal growth, Chandler says you have to build 4 pillars, and this is the bulk of the book's how-to.
Okay, let's walk through them. Pillar 1 is aspiration.
This is the why. It's about having a magnetic purpose.
Now, she distinguishes between mission, vision, and values here. And I appreciate this because corporate websites use them interchangeably, and it usually just ends up as word salad.
It's a pet peeve of mine, too. Chandler simplifies it beautifully. Mission is what pushes you. It's your fundamental reason for existing today.
Okay, pushes you.
Vision is what pulls you. It's the future state you are trying to create.
And values.
Values are the guardrails. They keep you on the road while you drive from mission to vision.
She uses a story about Zappos to illustrate this, the flower story, which is legendary in customer service circles, but I think it's worth retelling because it proves the point about guardrails versus rules.
It's the perfect case study. A Zappos rep is on the phone with a customer who's trying to return some shoes. Pretty routine call.
Right.
But during the chat, the rep finds out the customer's husband, who she bought the shoes for, had just died.
A tragic, delicate moment. Now, let's pause the story. In a command and control company, that industrial model we talked about, what happens here?
The rep panics. She probably has to put the woman on hold. She has to check the bereavement return policy on page 40 of some manual.
Yeah.
Maybe she has to flag down a manager to get an override code for the restocking fee.
Right. It becomes a transaction. It becomes bureaucratic.
But at Zappos, the mission is deliver WOW through service. That is the aspiration. Because that why was so clear, the rep didn't hesitate. She refunded the money immediately, told the customer to keep the shoes, and then,
here's the good part,
without asking anyone, she ordered flowers and sent them to the woman's house.
That's the key part for me. She didn't ask for permission.
She didn't have to. The culture empowered her. That is what Chandler means by aspiration. It's not a poster on the wall. It's a decision-making filter. When the why is clear, employees know the right thing to do without a manager hovering over them.
Leaders just need to light the way, not drive every single car.
Exactly. Which leads us right into pillar 2, awareness. This is the who.
And here Chandler uses an analogy that hit me right in the nostalgia bone. The board game mastermind.
I remember it well. You have to guess the secret code by putting the right colored pegs in the right holes.
Right. And Chandler says talent strategy is basically a high-stakes game of mastermind. You can have the wrong person in the wrong role.
Disaster.
You can have the right person in the wrong role.
Frustration.
And winning is the right person in the right role.
It sounds simple, but think about how most companies hire. They write a generic job description, this rigid box, and then they try to jam a human being into it.
Yeah.
Chandler suggests flipping the script. She advocates for the player strategy.
A player strategy. This sounds a little bit elite, or maybe risky. Are we just trying to clone the same person over and over?
Not demographically. It's about cloning success traits. She says, look at your current top performers, the ones who crush their goals and fit the culture perfectly.
Okay.
Study them. Profile their DNA. What makes them tick? Is it resilience? Is it curiosity? How do they solve problems? Then go find more people with those traits.
So don't hire for the bullet points on the resume. Hire for the traits that actually succeed in your specific environment.
Yes, and once you have them, don't force them into a box. Adapt the role to fit their fast lanes.
Fast lanes. That's a great term. Define that.
A fast lane is where an employee's natural talent meets their energy. It's the stuff they do effortlessly. If you have a creative genius who is brilliant at strategy but hates details, and you force them to spend 40% of their week on spreadsheets, you are blocking their fast lane.
You're taking a Ferrari and driving it in a school zone.
You're turning a limitless talent into a limited one. Chandler's point is that talent is often limitless if we just stop putting barriers in front of it. And this requires high self-awareness from leaders to spot those strengths and shuffle the deck to maximize them.
So we have the why, aspiration, and the who, awareness. Now we need the how. Pillar 3 is acceleration.
Speed. How do we move faster? And for this, we have to talk about Charlie Brown and the football.
The eternal struggle. Lucy holds the ball. Charlie runs to kick it with all his might.
And Lucy yanks it away at the last second, and Charlie lands flat on his back. Every time.
Every single time.
It's funny in a comic strip. It's toxic in a company. Chandler uses Lucy to represent inconsistent leadership. If a leader constantly changes direction, breaks promises, or punishes people for trying new things, the employees become Charlie Brown.
They eventually stop running at the ball.
They disengage. They do the bare minimum to avoid looking foolish. Acceleration is fundamentally about trust. If I trust you aren't going to pull the football away, I run faster. I take risks. I innovate.
So trust isn't just a nice to have, it acts as a speed multiplier.
It does. And lack of trust is a tax. It slows everything down because everyone is double-checking their backs. To get acceleration, you also have to break down what Chandler calls the silos.
Ah, the silos, the enemies of speed. Why do they form? I mean, everyone knows silos are bad, yet every company has them.
The problem is usually incentives. Most companies incentivize vertical success. Did you hit your department's goal? Did you make your boss happy? But real acceleration happens horizontally, when sales talks to product, when marketing helps engineering.
So if you want acceleration, you have to incentivize collaboration, not just individual performance.
You need cultural cohesion. You want a team that trusts each other enough to fight the problem.
Yeah.
Not fight each other. You want them to be vulnerable enough to say, I messed up or I need help without fear. That's how you fix issues quickly.
That brings us to the final pillar. Pillar 4, alignment, the where.
This is about trajectory. And Chandler uses a space exploration metaphor here, the Mars mission.
I love a good space metaphor. How does this apply to business strategy?
Imagine your company's 5-year goal is Mars. It's ambitious, it's far away.
Right.
You can't just launch a rocket at Mars tomorrow.
Yeah.
You need a base camp first. You need the moon.
The moon is the near-term milestone.
Exactly. Alignment is about connecting the work you were doing today, the daily grind, the emails, the meetings, to that Mars mission. If people can't see the line between mopping the floor and getting to Mars, they get lost.
This references the famous JFK story, right?
It's the classic. President Kennedy visits NASA in the 1960s, sees a janitor mopping the floor late at night, and he asks him, "What are you doing?"
And the janitor doesn't say, "I'm cleaning up a spill."
He says, "Mr. President, I'm helping to put a man on the moon."
That is alignment.
That is strategic fulfillment. It's ensuring every employee feels that tangible connection. And this loops right back to that internal hire rate we talked about. If I can see the Mars mission and I can see how my career path helps us get there, I stay. The talent pipeline nourishes itself.
Chandler also mentions a tool here called the decision dashboard. Is this a physical software thing or more of a mental model?
It's a mental model for leaders.
Yeah.
A way to fight shiny object syndrome. We all know companies that chase every new trend.
Okay.
The decision dashboard just asks, does this decision get us closer to Mars? Does it align with our values? If yes, go. If no, stop.
It sounds simple, but how many meetings could be canceled if we just asked, does this actually get us to Mars?
Probably half of them.
Yeah.
Maybe more. It forces focus.
So let's pull this all together. We've gone through the metrics and the 4 pillars. How does this system operate as a whole.
It's a loop. She calls it a virtuous cycle. You start with aspiration. That clear mission gives the right people a reason to join.
Okay, a reason to join.
Then awareness, understanding their strengths and putting them in fast lanes gives them a reason to stay.
A reason to stay.
Acceleration, building trust, and removing fear gives them a reason to contribute.
Okay.
And finally, alignment, showing them the Mars mission, gives them a reason to grow.
Join, stay, contribute, grow. It's a much more human version of the old hire, manage, retain.
It acknowledges that in an intellectual economy, you cannot manage people like assets. You have to lead them like humans. You have to optimize for the human element, not the mechanical one.
Which brings us all the way back to the beginning, the happy walk.
The bouncy walk.
Chandler's ultimate point is that leadership isn't a costume. It's not about toning down your personality to fit a gray suit or some stiff corporate standard. It's an obligation to be authentic.
Because if you aren't authentic, you can't build trust. If you can't build trust, you can't get acceleration. The whole system breaks. People know when you're faking it.
There's a phrase I love, authenticity is efficiency. If I don't have to waste energy hiding who I am, I can put all that energy into the work.
That's the takeaway. And I think there's a challenge here for every leader listening. Chandler poses this question in the book, and it's a tough one.
What's that?
If you stepped out of the daily firefight of your business, stop answering emails, stop putting out fires for just one day, would your team know where they are going?
Or would they just know what tasks they have to finish by 5 p.m.?
Exactly. Do they have the map to Mars, or are they just staring at their feet?
That is the question to end on.
Yeah.
Do they know the destination? And for you, the leader, are you owning your walk, or are you toning it down for a boss who's still living in 1980?
Own the walk.
Own the walk. That's it for this deep dive into growth on purpose. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.